So, which season are you in? 1, 2, or 3? Because depending on what season you are, the calendar skills that you need to bring to your planning game will be different. Let's talk about it. Hi, I'm Mystie Winckler, and you found Simply Convivial. Convivial means enjoying life together, which is the hospitable atmosphere that we want to create as moms and homemakers. Now, we all know that there are many seasons to mom life. Before you're a mom of littles, mom of teenagers, mom of grown children, and a mix of different ages, and then empty nesters and beyond. Your calendar can help you stay organized at any one of those seasons, but the way that you use it might change. So let's make sure that our calendar skills match the season that we're in. Grab a basket of laundry to fold and let's dig in. So there are 3 primary motherhood seasons where the kind of management skills and modes of operation are different. The first season that we'll discuss, that's not the first season that comes up, but a season where many of us spend many years is where we have a bunch of littles at home. So most of our time and attention and energy is spent at home, in the home, and we don't have that many appointments to juggle. We don't have that many outside of that house responsibilities. Our primary mode is in the home. And so it can feel in that season that maybe you don't really need a calendar at all, but you still do. We'll get more into that later. The second season that's particularly different when it comes to calendars is when you have middle schoolers and high schoolers that have a whole bunch of activities. Maybe you still do have a bunch of littles, but on top of the littles, there are people who have multiple obligations throughout the week. They have jobs or sports or classes, all kinds of things on the calendar. And especially when you're in the season where you are the chauffeur for those things before your teens can drive, then there's a different kind of need and use for a calendar. So that's another season. And the third season comes at the beginning of your homemaking journey and probably at the end as well. And this is where you are a working homemaker or a homemaker with a lot of volunteer work before you have children, or when you just have a baby, or when all your children are grown and gone and you have grandkids. These are seasons where you have multiple responsibilities to different people outside of your home, as well as still a home to manage, but there are not people in your home to manage. Now, as far as seasons go, there are other seasons of motherhood for sure. There are different stages and different needs, and you can have a combination of any of these seasons. They aren't clean-cut categories for sure, but they are common seasons that most women go through for all 3 in one way or another. And so what I want to point out in walking through these different seasons is that when we're managing family life, managing homes and households, it's changeable. And so a common temptation, especially for the just starting out homemaker or the right in the thick of it homemaker that feels swamped, the common temptation is to think that if you get something figured out, your planner, your cleaning routine, some kind of special meal plan system, that once you figure it out, you'll be good to go. It'll be in the bag. You won't have to think about it anymore. It will just work. So figuring it out means you won't have to think about it or redo it ever again. You'll find the thing that works for you, and then you'll never have to change it up, or it'll never stop working. Probably doesn't take you long to be disabused of that idea. But the reality of life, especially home life and family life, is that needs change. Our situations change. And so the kind of management skills and the kind of operational modes that we come to our work with have to change and adapt as well. It's not true that if you have a working planner system at one point in your life, you will continue using that thing that you have figured out for the rest of your life. You will come to a point where it won't work for you anymore. Not because you did anything wrong, but because the needs in your life changed. Maybe something about you changed. People change, situations change, needs change, and that means that our systems and our planners and our habits and our routines also need to change as well. There's no once and done setup for getting organized that will last you forever. It's always something that we have to come back to and rework and continue. It has to grow with us as we are growing through our life. So if you had something that worked before and now it's not working, don't necessarily try to go back and force what worked before to work for you again. Think about why it worked and what you liked about it, and then think about why it stopped working and come up with a new solution that incorporates what you've learned from thinking it through. That's called iteration. That's what we do all the time inside Convivial Circle, is figure out how to make just the next iteration as we learn and grow along life. So with these 3 different seasons, your calendar is necessary, but it's necessary in kind of a different way. It's giving you something different. When you have a bunch of littles at home and you don't have that many appointments or outings on the calendar, it can feel like the calendar is a waste of time. Like you need your routines, you need your flow charts, you need to keep track of details, you need to make sure you have enough snacks. But, there aren't hardly any appointments at all. So why spend time keeping up a calendar system? There are so few that surely I can keep it in my head. But I can tell you that I missed more appointments when my kids were all little than I did when I had triple or quadruple the number of appointments on my calendar with big kids. And the difference wasn't the quantity of appointments. The difference was my calendar habits. And the fact is that because I didn't think that my calendar was important, and because I usually didn't have to look at it, that I didn't look at it. And the dentist appointment or the doctor's appointment, the follow-up appointment that went on the calendar, I wrote it down right away at the desk, but it was for months out. Well, if at the beginning of the week I didn't look at my calendar, if at the beginning of the day I didn't look at my calendar, and this was before text reminders were sent out every 3 hours by doctors' offices and appointment reminders. So because I didn't look at my calendar, I totally didn't even know I had an appointment because it was no longer on my radar. So actually having fewer things on your calendar really means you have to be intentional, and you're still going to be well served by the quick look at your calendar, the quick weekly review where you're looking at the upcoming week, the quick morning or evening or both review where you're just seeing what's up next. That can that can be a lifesaver because you are used to not having any appointments. And so you need the extra reminder that sometimes there are appointments that you don't want to miss. Then, of course, the second season, it's very obvious that you need a calendar. When you have middle school and high school kids with practices here, friends there, jobs over there, babysitting job, all kinds of different things. Then there's church small group, there's choir, there gets to be a lot of stuff. The bigger your kids are, the more big kids there are, the fewer of them drive, or maybe there's just not enough cars to go around. It requires time management, vehicle management, and schedule logistics. It's a time of logistics, and your calendar becomes obviously an important tool. And it becomes a tool not just for you to look at, but it becomes something that you need to share with other people so that you can work together as a team and be on the same page without you nagging them or without you forgetting to tell them particular things that they might need to take into consideration. Having some version of the calendar for your kids to see is an important step at this stage. So there have been times where we've printed out a weekly calendar at the beginning of the week, and things do change, but at least it's the basic calendar. And I would just print off my Google Calendar for the week and put it up on the fridge. That worked for a while. Now we have one of those skylight synced family calendars because my husband got it for me for my birthday because he knows me well. And so we have a place that everyone can see everyone's calendar. It is so helpful, especially at that high school teenager phase of life. But then there's the season, kind of the bookend season where kids are not taking up your time or your brain space. And maybe there are different pieces and parts. Maybe you have a part-time job or a full-time job in or out of the home, church work, volunteer work, grandkids to take care of, maybe a parent to take care of. There are always plenty of good works to be doing. There are many that are available. And when our focus isn't on just the logistics and the management and the raising of children, sometimes we can, again, get complacent and think like, okay, well, now that it's just me and I have a few things, like I can just keep that in my head. I can just remember that book club is on Tuesday. It's really better not to rely on your memory because sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. We need something more reliable than our memory. And that is a calendar that we keep up to date and that we look at for a weekly review and for a morning and evening review. It does not become less important before you have kids or after your kids are grown and gone. It's still an important tool, which means no matter what season you are at in life right now, the practice that you put into updating and managing and using your calendar will continue to pay off in every other season. So identifying the season you're in and the different vocations that you have going on in your life right now, and then managing life and our expectations and our responsibilities appropriate to the season that we're in is exactly what we do inside Convivial Circle. My courses, live sessions, and accountability work together to help you beat overwhelm and perfectionism so that you can manage home and family life cheerfully to the glory of God through any and every season and stage of life that you go through. We would love to have you join us. Just go to convivialcircle.com to enroll today. Together, we will repent, rejoice, repeat.